Evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? I've just sat down and watched Sargon's video there, Dark Days Ahead, and it was extremely depressing. I'm a huge fan of his. I've probably watched him for over a decade. I know I was watching him regularly when I was living back in York. It was about 10 years I've been following him. Big fan of his, so obviously I'm not trying to detract from his work. But the piece was extremely depressing. It was all doom and gloom. I think my message to people watching should be that ultimately, your forebears went through far greater trials and tribulations than probably we ever will. And when you read the historical accounts of what happens to people under communist regimes, as I said, the Gulag Archipelago is a great place to start. You realise that what's going to happen to us is, as I said, it's the soft touch. It's a cross between Huxley and Orwell's visions. And they've told us, if you listen, they've told us what you're getting. You're getting Klaus's "you will own nothing and you will be happy." And you will be quite happy. You live in a tiny little apartment. You'll eat cricket paste that strangely tastes quite good because they'll use, additives and flavourings. And you won't be free and you won't be able to drive anywhere or travel wherever you like. But it's not going to be that bad. So I think the message should be that no matter how bad it gets, when the government are doing things like this, Stephen Malin is the first person to be sentenced on Teesside for his involvement in violent disorder. He was jailed for 26 months for constantly being in officers' faces, gesticulating and shouting at them. Yeah, stuff like that. You get nearly 3 years in jail for shouting at people. It's worth noting that the bloke who killed all them poo and nippers still hasn't been sentenced to anything. And the very well-known case that keeps popping up, not the one I shared, about the racist attack by a big gang of regulars at Allen's snack bar who kicked 10 bells of shite out of a lass whilst racially abusing her, and they all got let off. None of them received any form of custodial sentence. Not that one. The most famous one, probably at the moment, is this 21-year-old hairy-ass geezer who got 3 counts of sexual assault of a child under the age of 13 and was only given a suspended sentence. So it's pretty bad. But frankly, after the week that we've had, and my last 5 videos have been covering all of the usual awful stuff, I think it's time that I did my part and tried to just move on from it. Because as I said, even when you read Solzhenitsyn's work, everybody tries to keep a sense of humour, no matter how bad things get. So I'm not going to bore you with the endless tales that I could pull up today. You know what's coming. Thousands of people are going to get sent to prison for shouting and talking and having impolite opinions on Facebook. You know it's coming. There's nothing we can do about it. As I keep telling you, it gets 10 times worse before Joe Normie wakes up enough for anything to happen about it. So strap yourselves in, prepare for the worst, and try and keep a sense of humour in adversity. Which brings us on to today's story. My old mate Paula sent me this. It's an absolute cracker. Former BBC zoologist Adam Britton, who filmed himself plunging into various wild animals' cinnamon rings, is condemned for inconceivable depravity by a judge as he is jailed for 10 years. You may need to bleach your eyeballs after reading this story, so I won't bother linking it in the comments. It's not, just like everything, if you pay attention and you watch The Angry Bootneck, it's not even slightly surprising, is it? Not surprising at all. He fits right in at the BBC, the only organisation in the country where every employee has a laptop that would make Gary Glitter cower in fear and say, put that away, you filthy bugger. That's the BBC. So this bloke will fit right in. And it reminds me of a fantastic old joke that I heard when I was about 12. And there was a story in the press of, probably another BBC employee who'd actually been doing the same depraved acts with a dolphin. And the gag was, apparently when they arrested him, he said to the police officers, "I didn't do it on porpoise." All right, ladies and gents, buckle up. This is going to be an interesting one. As I said, not very surprising, though, because he works for the BBC. So, exactly what you'd expect from the world's worst taxpayer-funded propaganda outfit. Former BBC employee Adam Britton filmed himself torturing helpless creatures and plunging into a pit bull. A crocodile expert. Yeah, I guarantee this bloke not only knows more about crocodiles than anyone else on earth, but has also been inside parts of a crocodile more than anybody else on earth. He filmed himself doing the obvious with a wide variety of dogs. And as a result, he's been jailed for more than 10 years in Australia, where judges clearly have some form of common sense and realise that a bloke like this really is one bad day away from building a pyramid of skulls in his bedroom. If he was in England, he'd get a £50 fine and he'd be working in a primary school library. Adam Britton was sentenced to the torture and exploitation of more than 42 dogs on his rural property. The 53-year-old, who definitely, we're not taking credit for him in Yorkshire, no way. The Aussie was sentenced to 10 years and 5 months with a non-parole period of 6 years. Chief Justice Michael Grant also ordered that the once respected academic be banned from owning or having on his property any mammals for the rest of his natural life. Sorry, this seems a little bit biased. This is definitely prejudicing the law in favour of mammals. Yeah, I would hate to see what he gets up to with the family goldfish, for example. Amphibians, reptiles, birds. Think of that. He's allowed to keep a parrot in a cage in his living room. Although, maybe with a parrot it wouldn't be too bad, would it? He'd just teach it to say filthy sexual threats while he, lubes up and flings himself around the kitchen. Before delivering the sentence, Justice Grant warned the public gallery he would have to describe details of Britain's offences that included grotesque cruelty towards animals, and told the British-born academic, "Your depravity falls outside any human conception." I'll stop you there. Not any human conception. Not any human conception. This is 2024. Almost every Guardian reader, BBC journalist, woke academic, usually sitting on a government advisory board, Owen Jones, all of those people know exactly what he's talking about. Definitely not outside of their human conception. And it probably fills Owen Jones's sketchbook. And here's a nice picture of him with a very, very worried looking crocodile there. Yeah, look, the first thing I think of after reading that story and then seeing this picture is Mr. Gimp from Pulp Fiction. That crocodile isn't trussed up this way for safety purposes. The gaffer tape over its eyes and mouth are essentially functioning as some form of reptilian gimp suit. That's the only time I've ever seen a picture of a crocodile and an unarmed man, and the crocodile's been the one that looks worried. Here he is with a baby crocodile. Well, I mean, it's a bit small, that, isn't it? He's basically going to use that as a sort of scaly, meat-based condom. And he told a stranger on Telegram that he was doing this to suppress his violent urges. Yeah, when you've been conquered deep in a Yorkshire Terrier, I don't think you've done a good job of suppressing your violent urges. I think you're acting on the myth. Short of going mental in a kindergarten with a chainsaw, I don't think you could have done much worse, to be frank. That is one of the most alarming, simultaneously alarming and hilarious stories that I've read all year. And he fits right in at the BBC. He'll get out in 10 years' time and basically he'll be reading the 9 o'clock news. They've already scouted him out. The Director General was in court and he said, "Looks like we've got a replacement for Hugh Edwards, lads. Get that man a pinstripe suit." Brilliant. So, Paula, thanks for that story. Cheered me up no end today. The world's gone mad. Everyone's getting sent to prison for shouting. And the cherry on top is waking up to read that. Fantastic. At least he got in jail for 10 years. As I said, if he was in Nottingham Crown Court, the next time you went to get a 99 from the ice cream van, he'd be making it for you. And I don't even want to know what he'd be doing to the cones. Anyway, so we'll call it there. I hope that cheers you up. Remember, no matter what happens, you can feel safe in the knowledge that once a week, you can walk into your local pub and sit and have a conversation in a room packed with people where every single one of them agrees with you, no matter what the white-collar social engineers and scumbags in the government and the mainstream media have to say about anything. Almost everyone of a working-class background in the UK is completely in lockstep on this issue, so we aren't the ones who need to be concerned. It's that lot in charge. It's just going to take a few years for Joe Normie and all the rest of them to wake up a little bit. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. Apologies, I'm going to be away until Monday because I'm going to a wedding. So, yeah, I'm off to Wisconsin, which I thought was in Canada and apparently isn't. So hopefully that's good. But I will be back next week, so I'll see you probably on Tuesday. All right? In the meantime, please like and subscribe and hit the bell end icon if you can be bothered. Keep your collective chins up. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Toodle pip. Cheers.